Welcome back, troops, to Let's Tab 59. So at last, British Armed Forces are getting rid of that piece of crap known as the SA-80 assault rifle. Now, I know the opening statement calling the SA-80 rifle a piece of crap might upset some people that are serving, and maybe some veterans that have used that weapon system. But I don't really care. Now, secondly, I can only speak about the SA-80A1 and the A2, the first and second generations SA-80s, because that's the only ones I used when I was serving. I had the SLR originally, and we had the SA-80A1 and A2. And I used the A1 and A2 both on training exercises and on operations overseas. The SA-80A3, which I have heard some good things about, came into service just as I was leaving. So although I saw it, I never got hands-on, never got a chance to actually operate it. So maybe I shouldn't say it's a piece of crap, but a couple of things. Even when they ironed out all the teething problems with it, it was still a flimsy bit of kit, I think. I don't think it's as tough to be an assault rifle as it could have been. If it was that good, our special forces would have snatched it up straight away and used it. Special forces would have loved it, but they didn't. The LSW that went with it, the light support weapon, the machine gun, well, that wasn't bad. It was like a little sharpshooter rifle. If you used it with the bipod down and the shoulder strap and single shots, you could put some fairly accurate fire down. It was accurate. But apart from that, it was rubbish. And of course, if you were left-handed, you had to learn to fire right-handed, which could be a bit of a chore for some people. If you're a left-handed firer, you couldn't fire the SA-80 systems, either the A1, A2, A3, because of the bolt system. It'd have given you a face full of bolt and a mouth full of empty brass, maybe. So it couldn't happen. Now, if you're ambidextrous, that's not too bad. And I'd give my right arm to be ambidextrous, by the way. So it's got to go. So what happened? Well, the government has announced, the MOD has announced Project Grayburn. Project Grayburn is basically letting manufacturers, arms manufacturers, know that we want a new rifle, a new weapon system, and they should start to put stuff out to tender. We've described what we want, and they're going to come back with stuff. And there's a few options, and we'll talk about those in a moment. Let's go back, first of all, to SLR. Many people know it's the FN FAL. We got it in the single-shot semi-automatic version, self-loading rifle L1A1 in 7.62. And we got that around 1954, and it stayed in service till 1994. So it lasted 40 years. The SA-80 come along, small arms 80s, and that was introduced into service in 1985, and it's going out of service now, according to the MOD, in 2030, 5 years from now. So that's going to have a service life of 45 years. So obviously there was a bit of an overlap. 1994, the last SLRs went out of service, probably still hanging on with the TA units for a while, what was then the TA, now the Army Reserve. But even in Gulf War One, in the early 90s, the SA-80 was in wide use by the British Armed Forces, but the SLR was still being used as well out there. So when they went to war in the Gulf, if you were, say, Royal Artillery or some of the other regiments and corps, non-infantry, you would have still had the SLR. And some vehicle crews would have had the SMG, the submachine gun, Sterling submachine gun in 9mm. So at that time, there was 3 calibers going on with weapons. Anyway, so the SA-80 comes in 1985, the A1 version, and it was just full of problems. And they sort of adjusted those and where they could. We all know about the problems with the SA-80. And then the A2 come along. That come along around the time of the Iraq War, metallic Operation Telic. And as I say, then the A3 came out. So, what do we expect to get from the next generation of weapons coming into the British Armed Forces? Well, it's certainly not going to be a bullpup. The SA-80, as many of you know, is a bullpup weapon. So where you've got the magazine is behind the pistol grip and trigger housing. So magazines are at the back. Now, that causes some issues because it makes it a little bit harder. I'm not saying harder, but it's a little bit more awkward to change the magazines. It can be, because the magazine's not right in front of you. Traditional rifles, assault rifles, have the magazine forward of the pistol grip and trigger. Bullpup at the back. Bullpup advantage is that you can have a longer barrel because all the action's at the back. So you can have a more compact weapon system, but it has a longer barrel. But I don't think they're going to go for that. They're not going to have another bullpup. There's not many bullpups. You've got the Austrian Steyr AUG as well as a bullpup. But I don't think we're going to go down that route. And the other issue we've got is the caliber, the 5.56mm NATO round. It's not that great. It's not that great. The stopping power's not so good. Advantage of it, obviously, it's a smaller round. You can carry more and you can easily have a 30-round magazine. But what they've discovered is, and this is why the sharpshooter rifle come into being, they needed just a little bit further reach on the battlefield. Modern battlefields now have got longer distance engagements, and that's where the SA-80 can come and fall over. So they want a little bit more range, but they also want a bit more punch, because modern body armour is not being penetrated as good by 5.56. So they do need a bit more of a punch, and they need a little bit more distance. So what calibers are they looking at? Well, they're looking at the 6.8mm round. Now, the 6.8mm round is in use by the United States in their new M7 assault rifle. It's basically the cartridge for the 6.8mm. It's basically the old NATO 7.6 cartridge. All they've done is necked it down to take the smaller caliber round, the 6.8mm round, which is a longer and thinner round than the 7.62. So it's a very good round, the 6.8mm. It will mean possibly that you won't get a magazine of 30 rounds because of the size of the ammunition. So it's a box magazine of 20, possibly to 25 rounds in a magazine. But I think I'm right in saying that the M7 has mainly got a 20-round box magazine, so less rounds on your firing system. But it also means the ammunition's heavier. If you've got to carry the same scales, you've got to carry more ammunition and more magazines. So it's all paying one off against the other, isn't it? Now we've got the other round they're looking at is the 6.5mm Creedmoor round. Again, that's a good round. And the 6.5mm Creedmoor round is a little bit more forgiving with recoil. And also, it's not going to be as wearing on the barrel of the rifle. 6.5 will be a little bit, it's a bit of a payoff between having a bit of punch and distance, but not burning your barrels out so quick, and a little bit less recoil than the 6.8. So that's a caliber they could look at, the 6.5 Creedmoor. Now, of course, we've got the in service with some of the Royal Marine units in the British Forces, and with the Special Reconnaissance Regiment, and with our Ranger regiments. We've got the Night Stormer, the KS-1. That was brought in 2022, something like that. And it's being used by those units because they just don't like the SA-80. Now that, of course, that weapon system, the KS-1, which we have got in use, that could be an option that we go for the remainder of the British forces. However, that's in 5.56mm, and one of the things we need to change is our caliber, as I said. So it could be possible that they go for the KS-1, but in a 6.5 Creedmoor. That would probably make a bit of sense. So Project Grayburn then is putting the tender out there. We're letting them know what the criteria is, what we want. And of course, as you know, our weapons systems are always introduced from the lowest bidder. So it may come down to money. I know they've announced all this extra spending on defence on the last strategic defence review. Apologies for the wind. Go over here a minute. A bit breezy out here. But we'll see what happens. But I'm glad they're getting rid of the SA-80. I always harped on about the SLR. I did a video some time back about, I think I was asking the question, if you went on operations tomorrow, would you rather take the SA-80A3 or the SLR? And that caused a lot of debate in the comments, and people slagging off the SLR and saying the old and bold love it, it was crap, it's too long, too heavy, blah, 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 blah. And that's all true. The SLR had to go. We had to go to a fully automatic assault rifle from a battle rifle. And it had to be something that wasn't as cumbersome. And for some reason, they come up with the SA-80, which I believe to this day is a bunch of crap. So 45 years that they've been in service, longer say than the SLR. But at last it's going. We're going to hopefully get our troops and our Royal Navy and our Royal Air Force something a bit better. Something that left-hand firers can use without getting smacked in the face. That'll help, won't it? Well, let's see what happens. So 5 years now till we get it. So there's going to be lots of trials and developments going on. And I'm sure if you keep an eye on the news, certainly things like BFBS and Forces News, more and more information will come out. What will it be? Me personally, and I've not tried these weapon systems, I quite like the idea of the US M7. I think that's quite a good platform. It's tried and tested. It's from the AR family. And I think we should have had the M16 before we had the SA-80. But there you go. Let's see if we get the M7. So troops, that's it for this video. Thanks for stopping by. If you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider it. I'm not saying do it, I'm saying consider it. Remember, it's free to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And it's going to help my channel grow. Got some stuff coming up later this month. Me and the Tracer Around are off to Operation Jackdaw down in Kent. I know some of the subscribers are coming down there for a big meet up and a Ginganguli. If you don't know what Operation Jackdaw is, Google it. Look back through my videos and you'll see a couple of videos I've done about Operation Jackdaw. Me and the Tracer Around are going down there. It's run by veterans, for veterans and for other emergency services and other civilians as well, actually. It's not just solely for soldiers or ex-forces. So we're going down there at the end of this month. We're taking the Nobby with us, Nobster. Nobby's coming down. Me, Tracer Around the Nobby. We'll do some videos while we're down there with Paul Schilling and the guys, Operation Jackdaw. Really looking forward to that. We're out to Germany. We're going out to Bavaria in August for about a week on a holiday, but I'll be tabbing. Don't worry about that detail. When I get out to Bavaria, I'll be doing some tabbing out there. And maybe later on after that, there might be something else overseas, but we'll see if it comes off or not. Anyway, enough waffle from me. Please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. Till next time, troops, stay safe. Remember, let's tab.